This Sunday, France take on South Africa in the quarter-final of the Rugby World Cup, which is promising to be one of the most competitive and tightly fought quarter-finals of this weekend. In this video, I'm going to run through each team's 5 key routes to victory. Now, these are 5 things in which I personally believe will give each individual team the best chance at winning this crucial test match this weekend and book themselves a place in the semi-final. I'm going to start off with France firstly. Now, the first point I've noted is lock down the set piece is going to be crucial to going on to winning the test match. They have to make sure their scrum and line out is solid, otherwise they're going to really struggle in this test match. Now, it's no secret that the Boks are really going to go after the French scrum for sure, and possibly even the line out as well. Now, at scrum time, they have to make sure that they really lock out and do not let the South Africans get the upper hand and turn the screw and generate scrum penalties, because as soon as the South Africans start winning scrum penalties, they simply will not stop. And if they have better execution off the kicking tee, that could result in many a point. And if not 3 points, it could result in a lot of territorial advances from the Springboks. So the scrum will be key to lock down for France, and especially line out as well. The South Africans reaped a lot of rewards from going after the Irish line out, nicking plenty of line out ball from the Irish. So look, France don't want to fall victim to this, and really they can't afford to. That was in a pool match where South Africa got rewards from the Irish line out. This is not a pool match. This is where it really counts, and France will have to be hot on their heels. Point number 2, leave the line out and focus on the maul. Now, this is a potential strategy in which many teams use. Now, if the opposition has got a really powerful driving maul, they'll simply choose to not compete at the line out and make sure when they hit that maul, they hit it really effectively. When you send a man up in the air to compete for line out ball, you often leave yourself, well, obviously a man short, but also very vulnerable to the rolling maul. So maybe it'll be a strategy of France if they're not too confident in nicking the line outs, because the South Africans have some line out experts such as Moster and Etzebeth. Maybe the French will think, look, it's probably best to stay down, hit this maul really hard, and make sure the South Africans don't start making meters upon meters, because as soon as they do, similar to the scrum, they won't stop, and as soon as they sniff weakness, they will go for the kill. So look, that could potentially be a tactic for the French to halt the South African maul. In attack, point number 3, the 2-pass rule. Now, the South Africans really like to come off of the line and really take the physical game to the French. So the 2-pass rule refers to simply a breakdown, get that ball 2 passes away from the breakdown, and try and avoid some of the direct South African blitz defence, which tends to target around the breakdown, and try and just get 1 pass outside of that, whether that's a tip pass, whether it's a pullback pass to the likes of Jaminet. Just move that ball 2 passes away from the breakdown, get the ball away from the key South African jackalers like Pieter-Steph du Toit and Khaleesi, create a different point of attack, and just try and do something a little bit inventive, something a little bit different to create a different picture, which makes the French a lot harder to read and will stop the jackal threats of South Africa getting on the ball and potentially alleviate some defensive pressure which South Africa will be looking to bring. Point number 4, line speed is key for the French. Now, South Africans love to play direct rugby, and you simply either have to match it or dominate it. Now, it's very difficult to dominate South Africa physically, so as a bare minimum, the French really have to try and match the South Africans up front. You can try and play quick, you can try and play around a big team, but ultimately there'll become a point in a test match where you have to match them physically. And that point will come in this test match with France. Now, they have their big guns like Dante back, which will go a long way to helping stop the attacking momentum of South Africa in attack. I think Dante and De Allende will have an absolute car crash in midfield, and it's very difficult to say one man will have a big advantage upon the other, because they are both huge and both real elite quality rugby players. So look, meeting the South Africans at the gain line via line speed is absolutely crucial to stop the advances of the South Africans. When you're on the back foot and conceding meters, it's very easy to give away penalties, so you'll become very vulnerable, so you have to try and match them physically. Point number 5, punish potential South African discipline. So look, this is something that the French do anyway, but I think it will be crucial in the result of the match. Using the likes of the Ramos, and if Ramos isn't playing, maybe Jaminet at fullback, to really turn the screw via the 3 points via the boot of either of those 2 kickers. Anywhere within 50 metres, if you can turn it into 3 points, turn it into 3 points. The South African defence is outrageously good, so maybe just try and keep the scoreboard ticking via penalties as opposed to going to a driving maul. Look, if you're kicking to the kicking to the corner, not only is it highly likely that you potentially won't score and the South Africans will repel them all, but it could be very taxing physically on your team. And it's psychologically challenging to really challenge a team like South Africa and come up short when trying to attack them. So look, keep the morale high, keep the scoreboard ticking, and I think France will be well on their way to going on to win the Test match. For South Africa, I think, as I've previously mentioned about the defensive side for France, they've got to target the line out. They've really got to target the French offensive line out. They did that exact same thing to Ireland, and they reaped massive dividends from it. Sending Etzebeth, Khaleesi, all of the line-out jumpers, in which there are plenty in the South African side. There's very little number of forwards outside of the front row that can't actually go up in the line-out. So they're blessed with good athletic ability in the line-out, and that's something they can really utilise to disrupt the likes of Flamont and Olivon from getting that line-out ball. Look, Malvaka isn't the same in the line-out as who was the French hooker, Marchand. So look, Malvaka isn't quite the same ability as Marchand in the line-out. So look, there could be definitely cracks there in which the South Africans could really look to exploit. Point number 2, utilise the maul. The South Africans have got a really strong driving maul, and it nearly proved the point of difference in their game versus Ireland in the dying minutes. Look, if that went a little bit more clinical in the maul, they could have well been over for 5 points in the conversion to win the match. So look, the South Africans can really focus on using their maul to really sort of drive plenty of metres and try and gain some penalties and create a good attacking platform to then play off of in their back line. Point number 3, use multi-phase to generate a penalty or space. Now look, I feel like the French sometimes can struggle when it comes to multi-phase. I felt Fiji in the warm-up matches got some good rewards off of going through multi-phase against the French. Potentially they can tire slightly. I mean, any team would, especially defending against such huge men like the South Africans. So I think going through multi-phase, using likes of big ball carriers like Etzebeth, Kitshoff, Malherbe round the corner consistently, they could really look to sort of wear away at the French defence and play a really attritional game and try and take more out of the defenders than the attack is putting into the collision. And point number 4, execution from the tee. Simple as that. The execution from the kicking tee must be 10-10 from whoever is the Springbok fly half. I'll be surprised if they don't go with Pollard simply for his goal-kicking abilities. The ability to turn a penalty and field position and territory into 3 points at the elite level of rugby is simply crucial. So look, the Boks have to fix this area, and they struggled with it against Ireland and could potentially say it cost them the game. So the Irish got away with that one despite playing some beautiful rugby themselves. And the South Africans in this game will really have to make sure they execute there and turn their field position to points. Point number 5, the final point as well, win the defensive gain line. Now the French love to generate a real big carry off of a set piece like Danty, or they use Moefana sometimes as well, to send a ball carrier up the middle, then quickly get round the gain line and then play off the second phase. And now I feel the likes of Diolande in the midfield, Jesse Kriel, if they can really meet Danty at the gain line and put a big hit on him, maybe get Khaleesi or Peter Stetoy breaking off of the scrum, if you put a solid hit in there and compete hard at the breakdown, you can really limit the French ability to go round the corner and create space for the likes of Penaud and some brilliant evasive outside backs for France. So look, I think that's a good option for South Africa. It's something that all teams look to do, but I think if they really focus on it, it's something they could do to really halt the round the corner attack that the French love to use, sort of flooding the outside channels. They love to send Danty up the middle and then flood round with all their attacking players and all the forwards, get around the corner and then play to the width. So if they can slow down that initial carry, wrap that ball carrier up, instead of maybe tackling Danty to the ground, maybe try and get a wrap on him, slow the ball down away from the breakdown, create a maul, something like that could hold them in good stead to go on and win the Test match. Now those are my 5 points for each team. Let me know if you agree or disagree. Look, if they've got other tactics that each team could implement, I'll be really interested to hear what you have to say. And I'll read all the comments as usual. But thank you very much for watching.